All right. Portal additions. We had Marvin Jones Jr.
That's
and
fun to say.
that is any name with alliteration like that. I hope he does go. I hope he goes Jones Jr. on the back. Close to my favorite fighter's name, John Jones. Also a guy that more athletic than me,
Yes.
but he's about my height.
But his wingspan is
84 and a half inches. Mine's 76. I mean, that dude could almost fly. Got KJ Daniels from Oklahoma State. I know a big addition for Oklahoma. Probably going to be a linebacker, the cheetah position. He's fit perfectly for it. Wanted to come to Oklahoma out of high school. I don't think that whenever they did there was some stuff that went on in his recruitment whenever he did whenever there was a switch over, I think, to the Lincoln, or from Lincoln to BV. And I don't know if he really liked the position he would be put in, but he was a 2022 freshman, Big 12, I believe, Big 12 newcomer or freshman record
so he would
reward.
have another year.
And so yeah, he'll have time when he gets to Oklahoma, and it's exciting because he's a guy that has the body type for SEC play too. He's fast, he's athletic, he's big. I know that you had heard some motivation issues, didn't play hard. You want to talk about that kind of your thoughts on
I
it?
love reading the comments because on social media, I'm convinced the comments most of the time are like the best part. But I wanted to see OSU fans' reactions for a number of reasons. But one that I kept seeing consistently was like, essentially like, he didn't seem like he wanted to play. He wasn't motivated. He seemed lazy, which are some strong accusations. I admittedly did not watch a lot of Oklahoma State games this year, so like I didn't even care to watch highlights to even confirm or unconfirm their points, because in my mind it didn't matter if the defensive staff, I didn't want to say defensive because that just sounds defensive staff
Yeah.
likes him and sees potential. I trust the defensive staff. Additionally, if he has a motivation, not playing hard, giving up on plays issue, he's not getting on the field for BB anyway.
Right.
So it's just going to work itself out in the end. And that I will say that that's one area I'm not concerned with, because how many times could our defense have given up this season? And they didn't. Now, maybe they give up a big play here and there, but that's not because they just weren't trying or just kind of gave up on it, essentially. Like, there's videos of Danny Stutzman yelling at guys on the sideline when we're down by 21 points, saying, like, we're not playing good enough. Like, we need to play harder.
Right.
Which was not their fault we were down those points. But regardless.
Exactly.
So I'm not really worried about that because, like I said, if he's not playing hard, if he's not willing to put it all out there, he's not willing to have a perfect effort, then he's not going to see the field.
Right.
Or he's going to see it briefly and be taken off. And we have, in my opinion, we have the players to replace him if he has that attitude. But I'm going to assume that he won't.
I'm excited about him. I'm not worried about the whole, everyone wanting to talk about how they aren't motivated, or if there's questions about how hard they're really going, or, their talent level, this or that. We've all been on teams where it sounds good to say no matter what's going on, you always give your best, you always do all you can. But there's a reality too. When your team is just not it can demotivate you a little bit. Like if you're just not
going to win a conference game at all.
Yeah, I mean, and it's shocking. I really do think that there was a point where they all were just, and maybe this is cope and fine, fair enough. I just don't think that there was, I just think it affected them all to a point where you saw people like Ollie Gordon not even being a factor this year. No one would have predicted that.
I don't even think he's in the top for like the NFL draft for wide receivers.
Yeah, there was a projection I saw. Yeah,
there's a projection. He's not even on there. Like, how do you go from like
the Dope
essentially
Walker,
like number one? You're the second coming of Barry Sanders.
Well, yeah.
I
know what you mean. At Oklahoma State, for sure.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
It was, Anyways.
I know what you mean.
To now you're not even like put in the top 10 of running backs coming out for the draft, or who would potentially be. It's just mind blowing. And that's not to say the kid's not talented. It's just kind of wild.
And there are, I think, people that are just going to look at where these guys came from. And funny, it's weird because they both come from teams that struggled last year. Like Florida State goes 2-10. They don't have much to play for either. I just think when you get on a campus and you play with a team like Oklahoma and you get with BV, especially what he's known for on the defensive side of the ball, there's just a psychological switch that gets flipped. And you hear about guys that come in, especially like a Trace Ford, or I remember the first year when we had the Wake Forest guy. He was number. Someone will mention it in the comments. He was 80. What number was he? That's going to bother me the rest of the show. He transferred in. He was He was their defensive captain from Wake Forest the first year or our second year.
I wish I could help you on this, but I'm so bad with names
this is
going
to bother me so much. But he comes in and he talked about, when he got here.
See the comments.
When he got here, there was just, playing for BV and for, Oklahoma was just different, and it elevated his play. And I think you're going to see that with a couple of these portal guys that come in. Whether or not they even give you a lot of starter minutes, they are legitimate depth pieces, and that's as valuable as, that's also very valuable and, very needed, especially in the SEC where you have so many, physical games, especially with our schedule, which is probably going to be the hardest in the country. So I think the additions are solid. We have 14 now in the portal, only 2 on defense. We know where our needs are, and they're looking at them on offense. That is sort of something that I was talking about. We had texted over this too, and with the portal strategies that teams are using, I'm starting to think that one thing they might be thinking about doing. There's a lot of times to say thanks, but that's a lot of.
He's doing a lot of thinking.
I just think there is a belief or a strategy maybe that you spend. The new way to do this might be recruit and then spend to retain. Instead of just spending to get players out of the portal that have to learn a whole new system, that are going to be the guys that are first off the guys that got in the portal to begin with because they wanted to will and deal, and don't have the loyalty through the recruiting process of high school that you develop with the players you have on campus currently. And I think that it's just going to be a change sort of, or maybe more of a focus to just spend money that you have on the retention of players. And Oklahoma's done that. We know about that personally. Or not personally, but we know stories of players getting huge increases because of production they had this year and because they wanted to retain them, and other players not getting the increases and seeking opportunities elsewhere, which is fair enough. But I believe that you have to start focusing on the retention of the talent you have instead of worrying about. So obviously you need to find supplemental pieces in the portal, but really making sure the focus is the best players that you have to keep those guys on campus.
Right. And I don't think you can really truly build. And again, I could be totally wrong. I don't think you can truly build a great team through the portal. And I'm not saying you can't get pieces obviously getting like Deion Burks, and when we had Andrew Anthony for the beginning of 2023, those were great additions. But I think for your whole team, as if you're constantly replacing half your team, I don't think that's necessarily a recipe for success for the reasons that you mean, because they're coming in and learning whole new systems. They're having to just build trust and camaraderie with your teammates, because chemistry with your teammates is something that is actually so important with sports. Knowing where a guy is going to be, trusting him to do his job, or just, from an offensive standpoint too, if you're trying to make a play to this person or trusting them to protect you, that is so important. If you don't trust them, again, you're not confident. You're going to second guess yourself. You're going to mess up. And so, so I don't think you can build whole teams consistently. I don't think that's sustainable. Now,
right?
You do obviously need to go to the portal, because you are going to lose guys to the portal every single year. So you're going to need to, in ways, replace them, but, and you can definitely add key pieces, but that's what it is. It's not replacing the whole game board, just replacing a piece or two. But
I like that, yeah. And I think they're going to be able to do that, and with the new management, how they have that coming in, with the. What is his name? The former AT&T CEO that's coming in to kind of really make this look more of a professional situation.
Do not ask me about names. I'm not.
I think it's Randall Stevens, I believe, but I should have reviewed it before we got on. But they have him coming in. They have a guy that was with the New York Giants, I believe, for a long time.
It's only a million.
That was
in New York.
11 years or so. That kind of ran their processes as well. They're trying to make it a more professional organization, because eventually I think that's where you're going to end up being, is just paying players to play, and you got to figure out how you want to allocate dollars and the best way to do that. And so Oklahoma's making those changes. I think they are definitely going for a strategy that believe that is, I think it's sort of leading where other teams will end up going. Spend the money you can as within reason to retain
Right.
your best players.
Also,
and then
as
find
coaches,
pieces
you
and
want to know
pour.
who's going to be on your team.
Exactly it. Yeah. That's the biggest part.
So, I mean, even from that standpoint, like, who is going to be on my team?
Right.
Who do I have coming back? What positions do I need? Like, it's just a lot. By the way, is Kendall Daniels from Oklahoma originally?
I believe so. Some questions that I just need to double check.
I thought I saw that he was an Oklahoma kid. Could have been someone else, but I do know that OU, especially when Brent Venables came in, said he wanted to prioritize Oklahoma talent because that one kid from, what was it, Owasso Union, that slipped out, not under him, but previously kind of slipped out. And then when he took over, they tried coming late, but it was kind of too late by that point. So I think prioritizing Oklahoma kids and Oklahoma talent is a good way to go as well, because there is a little bit, there's that loyalty, there's that like childhood dream for many of these kids. So that is, to me, oh no, he's from what?
No,
He's
it's a different guy. Guy.
It says KJ. No,
That's
KJ.
not
Sorry. Wow, it's a very common name. But he wants to prioritize Oklahoma talent because there is another level of loyalty there. So maybe, as we've talked about in other shows, they'll take the quote unquote pay cut to be where they want to be.
Right.
Not to say they're going to do it for free, despite scholarships, tutors, food, all that kind of good stuff. But I think that would be good too. Let's see. We're trying to figure out where he's from. I was trying to like.
Beggs, Oklahoma.
Oh,
yeah.
so
Someone
he's an
said that.
Oklahoma
I think.
kid.
Someone said that. Yeah. Josh Jacob, another one. Yep.
I was thinking he was.
He's a freshman All-American, by the way. That's what I was referring to. There it is. Freshman All-American. Yep.
6'4". There you go.
Big guy. Yeah. Definitely.
Your height
bigger than
bigger.
I am. Yeah. There are, I think some. Go to a couple questions here. I think someone asked, what else do I think we need? I think you want to get another corner. You would still like to have a little more depth there. I know someone had mentioned here that, they thought that the addition of Daniels would allow Dolby to go back to corner. Dolby doesn't want to be a corner. He likes the cheetah position. It's what there was an interview a couple years ago, post game of what game did they play two years ago?
My foot's going to sleep.
It was post game of, I think maybe the Tulsa game even. Whenever because Nick Anderson had the 3 touchdowns that game. And Venables talked about how Dolby had been primed to play that cheetah position, that he loves it, he understands it well. Because I don't know how quick Dolby is to play. He obviously was corner at NEO, All-American player, really good. But on the Division I level, especially the SEC, I don't know if he has the speed or the quickness that you really need at the corner position. But he's very quick, or more than quick, to play linebacker, and he also has size. And the biggest thing is he's not afraid to get in the mix. He's not a guy that's going to make, quote, business decisions when he gets on defense.
I was actually really happy. I think he may have been who I was more excited to have back, and that's no shade at anybody else, because I use the saying a lot. Some people love playing football. Some people love being a football player. And you can tell that Kendall Dolby loves playing football. And he seems to love the University of Oklahoma. Like, honestly, it just popped in my head, but seeing him being carted off at Tennessee and him just devastated, like, I'm like getting teary-eyed now, because like I can only imagine how that felt. I mean, not even just obviously the physical pain, but just knowing that your season was done so early and when you were doing so well. So I'm really excited to have him back. I want dudes on my team. Oh, that was such a bro sounding thing to say. I say dudes way too much for female, probably. But I want guys on my team who love playing football.
Yeah.
Who see it as a blessing to get to go out on the field and play football. I don't want guys who just love being a football player.
Yeah.
Like, that's just where I'm at. And which is why I got to the point where people want to portal. Like, I didn't necessarily, I want to say I didn't care anymore to it. I just didn't, though. And maybe I've kind of just became more numb to it since the whole portal trend, because it seems like every year you're losing somebody. But I don't know. And maybe it's my own fault too, that I feel like I'm not even like following some of the players as much as I used to, and like really getting to become a fan of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll wait till you're in your 3rd and 4th year before I'm like, woo, like.
Well, it's just that there's the thought of why waste the time really to learn or invest, and if they're going to leave, which I totally get. I agree. It gets it. I'm hoping that they can figure out a way that they can keep these guys that they get on campus, especially before this house settlement comes through. That they're going to be able to add, and I don't think they're done in the portal either. They're going to add in the spring. They added. That's where they added Woolard last year. It's where they added Dominic Williams. Dominic Williams obviously coming back as well. I maybe mentioned that last podcast. I can't remember if we had.
We pretty much retained anybody that can be retained.
Desan McCullough was a guy that left.
Read my mind. I was like, with the exception of, to me, Desan. But like, as far as I meant more like, obviously you're losing guys to the draft, but I feel like who could be retained with the exception. I guess we lost Lewis Carter. Yeah,
Lewis Carter be one. And that stings a little bit. He was a good. Yeah. I mean, if anything, he had depth.
Ironically enough, you were mentioning him during the bowl game. You're like, I really like this kid.
Yeah.
Well, liked him for a day.
Tough. I mean, but also went to UCF. What an interesting move.
Maybe he likes Florida.
Someone quote me on. Is that the second player we've got, or that we had that went to UCF? I feel like I'm thinking of someone else, but maybe I'm just imagining that. I don't know. I can't tell you.
It's been a lot of movement.
There has been a ton. It's been an interesting time for sure, especially for the portal. Let's see, Paul. Hey, it's my dad. He was a player I always talked about how good his technique was. Very good. My dad would mention when he would watch Oklahoma State how good he was as a player. No. When he would watch Oklahoma, he's talking about Bothroyd. I don't know why I was thinking of Kendall Daniels there. He's talking to Bothroyd, Rondell Bothroyd. From Wake Forest. He was one of my dad's favorite players. He's a good technique guy. I don't know if he's out on the league or if he's on a practice squad or if he made it, but it was a big ad for Oklahoma and a really solid piece for sure. He was from Beggs, Josh Jacobs for sure. Let's see if there's anything else. The Arkansas transfer. Yeah, there was also something we wanted to mention. I'd sent out a tweet.
Wait. Unless there's any more questions.
It's from Florida. There, okay.
He's from Florida, so maybe he likes Florida.
Okay. Well,
Good call by me.
I'm thinking of, there was the defensive lineman that we had that was here. I don't know why I say this stuff and not just think of the name before I bring it up. Oh, God.
You're hoping
I'll think of
phone a friend in the comments.
Yeah, he transferred to, I believe, UCF too, and now he's transferring out again. But I
personally, from the portal, would still like another wide receiver.
Yeah.
The problem is, I feel like any wide receiver that I might get quote unquote excited about, not that I'm not excited about the guys coming in, like I'm always going to be happy for everyone's come for OU, but you get what I'm saying. Like another Deion Burke, like Angelo Anthony, maybe like excitement.
Yeah. And besides,
I just don't think we're going to drop the dollars on it.
Well, I'll be honest.
To me, if a high caliber player is in the portal like that, it's for a big chunk of change.
Yeah, it's a premium, and also I don't think there's been a guy that's on Burks' level. The one guy I can think of is Zachariah Branch. I don't think Concepcion was on a Deion Burks level, but even a Deion Branch, it's not just him you're getting. You're getting his Zachariah Branch. You're getting his brother too. So
and it was like
when you have a good safety group already, you don't bring someone in who's for no reason. It's a scholarship wasted. Because they're not going to make him one of the 20 walk-ons for next year. So it just is never going to be an Oklahoma thing. And I know a lot of people had a negative thing about him going somewhere else. I don't even think that it was – when that report came out that these are the teams to look out for, it was just based on his Final Four from high school. That's all it was. I mean, he was committed to Oklahoma when Lincoln was here, and then when Lincoln left, he left.
Right. And
so it's not like he had some loyalty to OU.
My thing – and it's not to say that, like, OU obviously, like, maybe didn't – not to say they just straight out didn't want him. It's just –
I'm sure they looked into it a little, just reached out, but
the stipulations, the bullet points that you're having to check for a kid is he worth it? And I can blah, 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 I can stutter apparently. I can't get my words out, but just don't think it would have been worth it. I have no idea. I don't care enough about kids who don't want to come to OU. That's what I'm saying with that. I don't care enough about kids who don't want to come to OU to look into it further.
Derek LeBlanc. Yes. That is who I'm thinking of. Straight out of Oklahoma. Or straight
LeBlanc.
Out of Loa. Out of Iowa, maybe? I don't know. But yes, that's who I'm thinking of. Derek LeBlanc. I liked him too, man. He was a 4-star defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Anthony Evans is in the portal. Georgia wide receiver, once committed to OU for a day or two.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
Yeah, he did. I get it. If I'm sure they're going to reach out. But again, I don't know if any of these guys. I mean, he's stories from Georgia, but unless you can guarantee me a guy that is, I think Zachariah Branch. If you only could go for him and not his brother coming as well, that would be a guy that I would say that's probably a game changer if you could get him on your team.
Right.
Goes to Georgia.